Hey folks, welcome to Tim's Tech Corner on YouTube. I had hoped that I would never have to visit this topic again, as I had to do it years ago, but it looks like Evernote has gone ahead and gotten super goddamn greedy yet again. I've thoroughly had it with Evernote now. And I think it's actually time to move over to OneNote, because this is pretty ridiculous. So many years ago, there were two really hot services out there that everybody just loved and adored: Pandora and Evernote. And then later on you would get Netflix, and Netflix has gone through the same greed. It seems like the inevitable turn for everything that's cool is greed for some particular reason. So, back when Pandora was around, Pandora was the hipster music service, the Music Genome Project. And it was great. It was free, you plugged in some bands and artists that you liked, and you had this wonderful music streaming service that would sit there and introduce so many cool things to you. What Pandora did for me is actually created a boon where I started getting a lot of CDs of these bands that I were getting introduced to on Pandora. And I was hearing like a lot of Breaking Benjamin, and I got into Mudvayne at the time. A band called Akrama and Earshot. Not that I picked it up, but the first Underworld soundtrack was really, really good. And the Spider-Man soundtrack, the original Spider-Man soundtrack, was good. My love of Dream Theater came back because of Pandora. Like, I liked the first two Dream Theaters, and then I thought they went to prog rock and eclectic, and I fell out of them. And now, thanks to Pandora, I love their catalog. But obviously, I'm a Portnoy fan. Fuck Mangione. I hate that guy. I think he's a stiff-ass robot. But anyway, I really, really liked Pandora, and it was free. And then Pandora got greedy, and they said, okay, the stream is going to have ads now. If you don't want ads, you need to pay. And for a little while, you can get around it by still having the desktop version of Pandora installed. It would try really hard to screw up on you, but there are ways of keeping it working, and for a long time, that was the way to get around not paying and not having ads. And then eventually they broke that, and now, of course, you have the ads and the limited skips, whatever. Well, right around the time Pandora started to get greedy and ruin their cool hipster status, Evernote decided to pull the same shit. So Evernote was amazing when it first came out. You could install it on everything. You could install it on iOS and Android and Windows and BlackBerry and your mother's ass and toasters and refrigerators and the steering wheel of your car. You could tattoo Evernote into your knee, and it would, like, everything and everything ran Evernote back then. And it was so great for keeping everything super organized. Like, I was using it when I was looking at houses at the time, and I was saving the listings to it, and I was making audio notes. It was an amazing note and organization app, and just the fact that it was installable on everything made it so cool. Well, then Evernote, much like Pandora, got greedy, and what they did was to make it so that you had to pay if you wanted to use it on more than two devices. So I had it installed on my phone. I had it installed on my computer. I had it installed on a work laptop. I just had it installed on just about everything I could do, like a work iOS phone, Apple phone, that kind of a deal. And they said, all right, well, you know what? If you're going to be free, you can only have a maximum of 2 devices. So I called up their support. I said, you guys got to be kidding me. And I said, nope, that's what we're doing now. I said, this is ridiculous. You are destroying your whole raison d'etre. This is your whole essence, that you can install this thing anywhere. And the whole point of it is that you have this massive sync ability, and anytime you want to look at what's going on, like, you have it. And they said, well, yeah, sorry, that's what we're doing. You have to come up to a paid version if you want more. I said, why don't you charge for features? Why don't you charge for database size, note styles or something? Why devices? That is the greediest thing you could possibly do. Well, that's what we're doing. And I said, all right, well, I'm just going to continue to access it via the web on those devices that I'm removing it from. Oh, you can't do that. There's a block on that. I said, yeah, I know. That's the mobile site. There's a little thing called use desktop site. It gets around it. Goodbye. And I hung up. Now for years, at this point, almost probably a decade, maybe about 8 years or so, that's the way it worked. You could install it on 2 devices, like, say, a tablet and a phone, a computer and a mobile device, whatever. But then you had unlimited access via the web. And you could circumvent the install limit on mobile devices by going to evernote.com and requesting the desktop site. You can sign in there. Now, the majority of what I use Evernote for worked out perfectly for the devices I had it installed on. I would hit it on the web via my computer. I had a tablet in the kitchen, and I had my primary phone had Evernote. So that's 2 direct installs and a whole bunch of web apps access. 2 of the major ways that I used it were centered around the tablet in the kitchen. I would put grocery lists on that tablet in the kitchen where I could look around and be like, all right, I need some cereal. Mayo's a little low. I'm going to add some mayo. I'm going to get some eggs, whatever. And on that tablet is where I would most often look at Google Cards, and Google Cards is sort of like my news. I could save a... I could sit there and I could save a Google Card that was interesting to me, like an article on Cyberpunk or Marvel's Avengers. And if something in that article was really important to me, like I wanted to do a video on it, or wanted to link it on Discord, or a Facebook post, or a tweet or something, I would save it to Evernote, and then I would come up here to my computer on the web and pull up the whole note, or use it to actually link back to the site where it came from. And it was great. It worked out perfectly. In terms of like the grocery list, I would type it out on the tablet in the kitchen, which has got a keyboard attached to it, a Bluetooth keyboard. And then while I was at the store, you know, when you actually went to the store prior to the itis, I just pull up my phone and go to Evernote, refresh it, and then, you know, see, aha, all right, yep, there it is. Mayonnaise, cereal, milk, eggs, cool. Well, at the end of the last week, early this week, I started having problems with hitting Evernote on the web. And I tried to log in, and I was greeted with, like, my notebook in the background, and then this appeared. Upgrade to continue using Evernote on this device. Upgrade now, 25% off, blah, 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 blah. Unsync a device if you want to keep going. I went, this has got to be something weird. This isn't a device, per se. This isn't an install. This is the fucking web. What is going on? So I backed out and, like, went to bed the next day, and I still got it. I went, alright, I'm intelligent. I do this for a living. I'm going to go ahead and do an incognito mode. Nope. Evernote detects incognito mode, at least in Chrome and Chromium Edge, Microsoft Edge, the Chromium version. Now, I haven't tried Firefox or another, or VPN. I don't have a VPN, but I was greeted with this, and I kept getting it. I went, that's ridiculous. So I looked. My phone was there, the tablet was there, but it was considering web access now as a device, which means everything. I don't know that if I unsynced one of the Android devices and I said web, does that mean this computer is an install? And if I did it on my secondary computer next to me, is that considered another device? Or is it the entirety of the web counts as a device? Which, if that is true, then you could conceivably get around the installs on mobile by, again, saying, alright, allow the web to be one of my devices, and then just go to evernote.com, not the m.evernote.com, the mobile version, just go to the desktop version, and then there you go, Bob's your uncle. That is a possibility. I haven't tried it. So I wrote their support a ticket. And I decided to go back and forth with them on it because I had no communication whatsoever that this was going to be a thing. So I said, was there any outgoing communications at all from Evernote that now hitting up Evernote on the web counts as a sync device? This is completely ridiculous. Years ago when the change went into effect about the device limit on free accounts, this was extremely greedy and against the core of what made Evernote, good but tolerable because of web access. The further push with web page access is unconscionable. What is Evernote doing? So I get a rather canned answer of, thank you for contacting Evernote support. I'm Arnold. Sure you are. I'll be assisting you today. I understand you're having issues with devices to access Evernote. After checking your database, I found you have Android and the web as your devices. It's been rebuilt, blah, 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 blah. I said, that's not at all what my problem is. And he says back to me, okay, I apologize for the inconvenience it caused. Can you please tell me what the problem is so I can further understand it? And I replied back, I was like, well, my original email pretty much tells you exactly what the issue is. Did Evernote send out any communications that visiting your notes via the web now counts as one of your 2 installs? Years ago, when Ian made the terrible choice to restrict devices, it was okay because I had web access. Hitting up your account on the web was unrestricted. This week, all of a sudden, that's now blocked. What is going on? And they mailed back and said there was an email sent to those who opted into the marketing messaging emails. Who in their goddamn right mind opts in to these marketing mails? Unless it's something you really, really care about and don't expect there to be a lot of things about, like maybe a game or a console or something like that. You sign up because you want to know updates. Who the hell wants updates for Evernote? What possible update do you think you would actually get? So they're saying that if you opted in, email started to go out on the 21st of October, and it started to be implemented on the 28th of October. Looking at your device list, you currently have 2 Android devices, 1 Verizon, 1 Samsung, and the web. So it's actually 3. And by the way, the grammatical mistakes and everything are now starting to build up in this. I said, so you would have had to have opted into optional services in order to find out that the web access was going to be restricted? That's how people with free accounts were now going to find out that web page access counts as an install? And the response, yes, it's an option to receive emails and reminders. Again, I apologize for the inconvenience this caused you. If you want to revoke a device, I can help you with that. Just tell me which one of the 3 you want to remove. Android Verizon, Android Samsung, so tablet, phone, or the web. And my final thing that they haven't responded back to yet is, no, I don't want to revoke a device. I know how to do that, and it's not like you can miss it with this giant green button sitting in the way over here. I think it's downright atrocious and off-the-wall greedy that webpage access is now considered on the same level as an actual install on a PC or a mobile device. Web pages have no OS integration, and there's barely any features. There isn't an autosync, it has no shell functions, and it's basically a minor editor. I also think it's horribly short-sighted not to tell everybody that will be affected by this change. You only send emails out to people who opt into marketing mails. Again, first of all, who actually opts into that? Second of all, you're making a sweeping change that is going to affect everybody on the platform that is using it for free. I think it's utterly ridiculous that they make such a major change, but the email only goes out to limited people. There was no notifications on the website like we are like Netflix. When Netflix made their changes of $8 gave you DVDs and the streaming, and then they split it where $8 was DVD and $8 was streaming, and you could drop one of them and keep it, but then they kept raising the prices. Like, you knew it. There was media about it, you were hearing about it, everybody got mails about it. It was a major thing. Evernote making this major change, no, only if you opted into marketing emails. I think that's ridiculous. So I'm probably now going to go over to OneNote and potentially use their tool that converts an Evernote notebook into a OneNote notebook. Maybe even Google Keep. The good thing is you can install this on anything. There's still cloud syncs and everything. I don't see myself staying with Evernote. The only potential way that I might do it is if I took it off the phone. Well, actually, no. If I took it off the tablet and any web device becomes my install. So install 1 would be the phone. Install 2, any web page access. But if it's restricted to just one computer's use of the web, potentially through a MAC address. I don't know what their unique identifier is, and I don't know what they're doing to make sure that you can't hit it via incognito or something. I might potentially do that, because then I would just uninstall it off the tablet, and anytime I was doing like the grocery things or whatever, I would just go to evernote.com and do it that way. The shitty part is I would lose the ability to copy to Evernote from interesting articles through the Google cards. And that's kind of big. I use that fairly frequently. You wouldn't be able to do that if you're just hitting it up on the web, because there is no integration to the device. It's like when you right-click a file on your computer, you can send it to the trash bin. You could maybe send it to a backup if you're running some kind of a backup sync, or like Dropbox or Google Drive, you could send it to one of those if you have those apps installed, or Box, stuff like that. If you're just using it on the web, you don't have that integration with what's called the shell. So I think that's totally ridiculous that Evernote has gotten super greedy yet again and is now locking out web access and counting that as an install or a device when it can't be further from the truth. You're losing so many features on software when you don't install it. And whatever. So if you're an Evernote user, let me know. I'd like to hear your experience. And if you were somebody like me who just had it on 1 or 2 devices, but then used it mostly on the web, how are you dealing with this issue right now? And, are you kicking up a fuss like I am? So, thanks for checking out the video, everybody. Have a good one.